Sit down, Brad.
I like that.
Okay. I'm not going to be proud of that. I'm sorry, Brad.
And they take turns. You're good.
All right, show 7 o'clock. Go ahead and call the meeting to order. Lead us in a word of prayer. Our most kind and gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you thanking you for the many blessings you bestowed upon us. We just ask that you be with us tonight, that we would make decisions that are pleasing to you. We just ask that you be with our country, with our servicemen as they are in battle. We just ask that you give us peace and discernment tonight as we make decisions that may be pleasing unto you. In your great and heavenly name we pray. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we've got a healthy agenda tonight. All members of the board, thank y'all for being here on such a hot day. Approval of the minutes from the meeting in June.
Make a motion to approve June's minutes.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the meeting in June. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed, stand approved. Approval of financial statement for May.
Question,
Uh-huh.
did you get a wrote-in balance? I know my copy did not.
I
Just
didn't
a
have
balance,
it.
I had a little bit, it had no wrote-in.
I haven't.
Okay.
I think it's because of an issue that
Well, what we've had happen, and this is in my notes, and I'll go ahead and read it. Our bank, Centennial, I know, I don't know how many, but they've had a change in their accounting system. I will say the accounting system looks a lot better from the preliminary deals I'm getting. You know, that the June financial statement was a little delayed, and Kelly and I apologize for this ongoing issue, and we hope to have the statement back on a regular schedule for the next meeting. I know it's affected me personally in my business. It's been down, I guess, 2 or 3 months, and I understand change and progress. And like I said, what little bit I've navigated the new system at that bank, it seems to be a good system. It's totally different. But I apologize for that.
Well, I move we approve the May statement.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second to approve the financial statement for May. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed, stand approved. Approval of financial statements for June delayed to August. So I guess I'm just mainly reading that in to make sure that we know that we are having problems right now, but we will overcome it. It's not a fault of our own, and we're not blaming anybody else. But like I said, I do believe that when they get all that online, so far it looks like a great system from my personal experience with it. Reports of city departments, fire department.
All right, so far year to date, our call for service is 540 calls. Training, we sent someone to attack, it's called active attack integrated response. So they successfully completed that. It's specialized joint training for active shooter scenarios for firefighters and EMS to join in with the police type of stuff. We had 2 finished CPR classes for the community, and then 1 trauma class called Stop the Bleed. One of those classes we completed too. That's all community stuff we've done. And future training, we've got 3 firefighters right now currently enrolled in firefighter 1 and 2 training courses. And as far as permits go, we had 2 for June and 3 for July.
That's fixing to pick up greatly.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Jimmy. Any questions? Planning Commission, Ray White is here. He's in the house.
Thank you. So we had a meeting in June, short meeting. We had quorum, good attendance from the commission members. Had one item of business, the lot split. And other than that, it was a piece of property we'd seen before, and they've kind of been trying to figure out what to do. Basically last year. Other than that, we don't anticipate or not having a meeting here in July, but we are anticipating having one in August as well.
I'll tag on there a little bit. August 27th at 7 o'clock will be the preliminary meeting, and what preliminary is on the agenda, if they get all their paperwork done on their end. Mr. John Rogers, who owns the property where the new driveway I notified y'all of last month there at Taco Bell. Right now, all he's authorized to do is put in the driveway, which he's done, but he's coming to the planning commission. And he has, I think he's gonna end up with an office complex. He's been back and forth on what he wants to do. But he's supposed to have concrete plans for y'all in August on what he's gonna do. And Mr. Jody Beard, has purchased that property down there in front of Coil Hollow, Coker. And he's looking at a food court and a possibly fitness center. So that'll be on the agenda. And
It'll be a food court or food truck?
food truck court.
Food truck.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. And, I told Stephen this, and Cindy, of course, being her full-time job, we probably need to look at our food truck court regulations. I've got a copy of the one Conway had, that I would suggest to the council that I'll start taking a look at that. Because we've had several people, I know Mr. Rogers at one time had talked about putting a food court in there, deciding food truck court in their Taco Bell. And, I would probably suggest y'all take a gander at that.
Would y'all at the planning commission level as well look at it, see if there's any suggestions y'all have for us
If we can, it's been something that's kind of been a hot topic over the
Yeah.
last.
over the last couple of years?
You bet. And so, I think, personal opinion is what fits best for Vilonia. We look at these other municipalities and see what they did, and I think we got to just take something that what we can work best.
I think Conway's was pretty good. I'm not said I've got a copy of it in the office if anybody needs it. I've just not had time to circle on it.
And one of the things I would, ask for, council guidance on from y'all's standpoint or opinions on as we go forward. If y'all want an opinion from the planning commission, is how y'all view a mobile food truck. Most mobile food trucks become immobile, it seems like. So, anyway, just want to kind of see how y'all may do that as well. So there needs to be sometimes timetable stipulation.
I think that issue's coming up in Mountain Road, this town's experiencing. I think it's time. But I do think Conway's, Cindy, is a good one, and it would probably be a good one to look at.
Brady, do you recall if there was anything in the UDO on that, on food truck stuff?
It's been a minute to look at it. I was just like, hey, was there an update? I know we haven't talked about the UDO in a while.
Sure. So the last time we had discussions, Trey Foster kind of said, hey, it's in my court. And I really wanted to kind of take and tailor some of the, some of the document, possibly what he was doing with some of the street criteria that he was putting in for the time standards.
So that's.
I'll be honest, I have not talked to Ray. I didn't talk to Trey about it in the last week. So I'll go bring it up.
Okay. Yeah, because we're actually working on like a UDO for a master street plan with a metro plan that's supposed to kind of fit into it. So now you, Stephen, had answered. Like I said, it's been a minute since I looked at it.
We got a little bit going on. All right, thank you. Thank you all. Like I said, keep that in your mind on the food court truck regulation. We do, I think that needs to be looked at. Police department?
Well, we got Haas is working, was the latest one that we hired. He's still being FTO. We hope to get him released next week or so. He'll be back to pull up once he's released. I don't think I told you, but I promoted Daniel from sergeant.
Just a little bit, I'm having a hard time hearing, I'm sorry.
I promoted Sergeant France to lieutenant, and that since the Jones's retirement, so he's now the lieutenant, second in charge of the police department.
That's Daniel. Daniel's a good option.
So, yeah, so, just so you know that.
And the sergeant position still vacant as right now?
I Alright,
and it may be for a while.
any questions for Chief McMahon? Alright, thank you, Chief. Sewer Department?
Really have nothing to report. As far as, we haven't had a meeting in a while because the sewer department has the same problem that the city has as far as our financial statement, so we haven't had any in some time, anyway. And everything, as far as I know, is running just like it's supposed to.
They've had a few issues with pumps, which is to be expected, and they've been working on that, and like you and I talked earlier before the meeting, I know y'all are looking forward to working on your retention pond
Yeah.
sometime in the future and thinking ahead. Thank
Right.
goodness y'all have. Thank you. Street Department, they have been pretty busy. We've been trying to get ditches mowed and cleaned out that we can get into on the streets. Matt's been extremely busy, every day doing inspections on the new subdivisions and everything that's going in. We're gonna make sure they're put in right. And, I think he's made a couple boys probably irritated at him, that that's his job. And, we're lucky to have Matt. His years of experience, he basically built West Conway back when he worked for Carlton Burnett, and he's a stickler on details, but he's been really busy. He's been having to, but they're getting a lot done. And while I'm on the street department, I did send you that email back where we had to replace the 2 trucks. We got one truck that was a 2020 used. It was 26,700, and the 2018 was 17,000. The other 2 trucks that were there that we've been using, I had inherited, and I think James inherited them. I know one of them had been around forever. It had 400-something thousand miles, and when we took it in the shop here, it just run its last race, and the other one far behind it. I sent the email to council, but I'd like to read it into the record and also approval on that. Take a motion.
I'm so moved.
Second.
Second, we have a motion and second to,
That came out of the street fund?
yes, it came out of street fund, to purchase one 2020 truck for 26,700, the 2018 for 17,000. All those in favor of that, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, thank y'all for that, it was definitely needed. I'm kind of proud of my tightness, those were just about gone.
Hey, Matt's a good mechanic, and that's what kept him running.
You know, it's kind of funny, it's a sidebar, but, he was working on one of the gators the other day. I said, which one was that? And it was the one that went through the tornado and everything else.
The original.
Yeah, he rebuilt the engine in it and everything. It's running great. Okay. He said it's not working the best, but you're right. He is a good mechanic too. That comes in handy. Park and Rec, Chase couldn't be here tonight. He had an event with his family, but he has been doing a good job. The fields look good. Say it again. We're with him there. We're looking at some dust and stuff now. They're trying to do a lot of them things. Haven't really come up with a good idea. I mean, we may look at a 1,000 or 2,000 gallon water wagon somewhere in the future, or even past my time, with a spray bar on the back that they can maybe pull around. But he's really got the fields in good shape. I like when he comes up here and I see him, he's covered in dirt. But I think everything, pretty good there. Of course, we all, like all states, the Park and Rec Fund is always one of the weakest in the city, has been and will be, because it's totally funded off sales tax revenue. And we have to kind of always watch. And, I think the people need to realize they get a good bang for their buck out of that, because Matt and the street boys help him every chance they get, and we share equipment and we do things, and we, I think, been innovative with some of the playground equipment. We're in good shape with shape we're in.
He's a good investment you found.
Yes, he's a worker.
Mr. Mayor, if I could say, the other day he had 3 guys that were doing some volunteer hours, and they were mowing. It started raining, and he brought them over to the senior center and put them to work cleaning. So he He definitely was running a tight ship that day. I don't think they planned to clean bathrooms when they came in that day.
He's not gonna sit still, you know, he works side jobs and he can go get it. All right, I don't see any public comment. I have some mayor's notes. It may take me a while. There's been a lot going on, and James can remember when you're sitting up here and you got all these notes, you wanna make sure you tell everybody everything that's going on. I guess the first thing, our city attorney, Dustin, is here, and he had an update on the filing period. Would you like to?
Oh,
say-
sure.
He's got his mobile office up
I
there.
do, I'm working on three things at the same
Yeah.
time. As you know, I go from different cities, and I just spread the news about, it is our filing period season. You'll fill me in on some of the details here, but as far as I know, for Vilonia being a second-class city, everybody is up for election except for recorder treasurer, is that right?
That's correct.
So you alternate that one, but everybody else is up for election. The filing period starts next week on July 29th at noon, and the most important thing is it ends on August 5th at noon. And the noon is based on Ms. Darter's clock on the wall, so if you're 5 minutes late and her clock says noon, then you're out of time. She always does encourage everybody to get there. Maybe go a day or two early because she's gonna look at your petition and verify it. She can do that while you're waiting. Make sure all your names are in good order. So you do have to have your petition done. Is it 10 names for this? Is it 10 names? Okay, so have that.
I always get 20 when I.
Yeah, no harm in getting a few extra, because, why not? I have heard of some weird tales where people, maybe like a married couple, both thought they were registered, but they weren't in the database, and so you have to have two of them get striked out right away.
Have a little question.
And there's like two places there's like one for your date of birth and one for the day you sign it. And, every time you have someone signing it, you're visiting with them, and sometimes they get distracted and they get it wrong. They switch those around. Well, that's a name that's gotta get tossed out, if they're looking at it hard. So, get some extra ones. One thing I've had to explain to people, it seems obvious, but you can only sign up for one office. So I know, I think we have at least one if you're gonna go from city council to mayor or for a different office, you have to leave your office that you're sitting in behind. And so it's kind of like going all in. You have to win the next one. If you don't win, then you're retired. So we talked about the 10 names. And then also in that packet is financial disclosures. And one of the questions comes up is, well, if, I'm not going to spend any money, I'm not going to raise any money, you still have to fill that out. There's a box that says no money coming or going. You still have to have that all in your order and turn that in. So, but her office is always very, very friendly to, help you with those little questions along the way. You can find me if you have any questions. But
And they changed the reporting on contributions and expenditures to an electronic portal, is that correct?
that's right. The Secretary of State, yeah, you go direct. You don't even turn that into them. It goes to the Secretary of State. It is online. Yeah.
That's changed.
But in some of the, like the tiny towns where, they just, if you're unopposed, and I do get that question a lot, is, I'm not spending money, I'm not raising money, money's not an issue for me. Yeah, you still have to
file in an electronic
even if it's zero, that's right.
Okay.
So,
That does take a process.
yeah.
You gotta get it verified, you gotta go down there or mail it in with proof that you are who you are.
Okay.
Who are you?
Yeah.
All right, that's just my short message about that.
Continue work,
everybody. Thank you.
Bargains galore on 64 will be August 13th to the 15th. School's gonna start Thursday, August 13th. We need to remind everybody to be careful. Yeah, I know. Please be careful with buses, students, and bargain shoppers as traffic accidents are more frequent during these days. Chief McNew, are you ready for that? I will tell you, I don't know if we mentioned it at the last meeting, we did have a meeting with the highway department on the engineering survey they've done on 107 and up through there. Very fruitful survey, I'm very appreciative of the highway department. It took them about 2 years, but we got a lot out of it. I think you'll see them 4-lane 107 and redo the bridges. Of course, everybody knows it's been around, that's a 10 to 15 year process. That process has started. And, they also come back and really look, they've had several options for somewhere in the future, a roundabout on 64. They really did a thorough job. They even looked at a roundabout there at here at Elementary Drive 107. Nothing was really dictated at this time, and I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, but they had a very thorough survey, and the school was there, and they basically told the school that most of the problems were on them as far as traffic flow and storage on campus. They felt like the city and the state and after they explained it, I do believe they were correct. And like I said, I'm not throwing the school under the bus, I guess, for lack of a better term. They were there, very cooperative, and I think they realized that they had some issues. And I think, Stephen, the school has hired a consulting company to help them look at the storage and stuff out there.
And that was one of the Highland Park's recommendations to the school.
Yeah, so that, we, I know we get beat up on social media, but we've done our part as far as trying to make sure that we've done all we can do as far as the state and the city. And of course, all those roads on that campus are school owned.
Didn't they say short time we can mess with some of the timing on the line?
Yeah, they are gonna come back with some recommendations on the timing of the stoplight. But it was a very thorough report. I think it can be found if you're interested to dive in deeper. I think you've got it on Bise Drive, is that correct?
I think you have to get it from them because it's locked out with permission.
Okay, so it can't be, it's public, yeah, but it was a lot of, it was a very informative meeting. Why didn't those schools start the same day as Bargain Galore? August 13th will be the first day of school. Bargain Galore will be August 13th through 15th. Were you aware of that? It's all right. Yeah. On code enforcement, on grass and stuff, we have been busy. We fielded a lot of complaints. We've had good results and good conversations, and we have been covered up. And I'm bringing Officer James Bell back on part-time. He's willing to do it. And he's gonna center up on grass and litter and code enforcement. I don't think we'll be in any trouble with it. I will tell you that we've had a few of these cases go to court, and the judges are not friendly. They've made it pretty plain to the landowner, you need to get it cleaned up. And I guess I say that to tell people if you've got some property and it's come overgrown and everything, you need to get it cleaned up. We've had a lot of complaints, and rightfully so. If you make one do it, you have to, you really know it all goes. But James will probably start next week, and it's just gonna be part-time. And he's gonna be patrolling the city and dealing with some issues that we have. And I think going forward in the future, the town's growing enough that I think that'll evolve in the next 3 to 5, 10 years. It's just where we're getting to.
What would his job title be?
Code enforcement. Jimmy will still be helping where he can. Jimmy's been covered up with actual building codes. And I guess I could kind of allude to that. Like I said, we have been so busy. The old BP gas station across the road, you can see it's undergoing renovation. We're proud that somebody chose fit to invest in our town. They're gonna spend some big money. Jimmy done made them aware that the building's gonna have to meet electrical code, it's gonna have to meet plumbing code. It's gonna have to have a new sewer line ran down to the old main trunk line. No one was glad that they didn't cause the problems when still in business.
One thing I noticed, they fixed the drive.
They did.
In the process.
Yes, and they have been very good, I'm gonna say. Jimmy and I both, I finally talked to that guy today. They have been very upfront and forward thinking, and they had the highway department come out and they're spending a chunk. And, but they are aware the thing Jimmy and I, and the thing I preached to Jimmy is don't lead anybody into a trap. Let them know right up front what's gonna be happening. And they've been made aware of that. So that building will have to come up to code. And that's gonna be a project. They seem undaunted and they seem to be moving forward. The other thing, we've had some issues and calls. What used to be Lusty Lane has now been renamed Angie's Cove. An investment firm has bought that. They've done got the trailers cleaned out of there. We had some calls and concerns on that. They weren't doing anything wrong. I got to brag on the fire department. I'll always take up for them. They got the concerns forwarded to them and they went there and made sure it was right. There was a ton of debris. There was debris out in those woods that had been left there from the great wind. And they've done a good job cleaning that up. We've had some concerns and we've ran it up the pole. I talked to Trey White more than I want to not, but we ran it by everything. They did not have to come for any site review or anything. It's an existing use. And there's 3 of those in town. One of them is Baker Street, I believe down there off Church, is designated. Linda Lane area is designated, and then that area is designated. And they were grandfathered in the 1993 code, when the code came in. But they will have to follow all applicable standards. They have hired a very reputable engineering firm that I've done a lot of work with out of Jacksonville, Bond Engineering. And they're in the process of getting their engineering and everything done. The road in that will remain private, which is fine, but they're gonna pave it, and they've got big plans. And I'm appreciative that somebody took that time to invest in our town and clean it up. Because that was a cesspool, for lack of a better term. I want to brag on the fire department again. They handled business and made sure things were done right, despite what might have been said otherwise.
Yeah, my understanding is it's all brand new mobile homes,
Yeah.
all brand new concrete pads, everything, correct?
And one thing, yes, and one thing that I need to make sure people understand, you can put manufactured housing in the city. Now, if it's a special use or special application, it has to come to the planning commission. Has to be, the hardship and everything, but it has to be 5 years or newer per city ordinance. So, you get into some sticky stuff there. And of course, the new housing bill that just passed Congress has actually got some stuff in it, dealing with manufactured housing. You can't just blanketly tell them they can't do it. That's insurance for it. They're pretty serious on that. But there is safeguards, you couldn't go put one in the middle of a nice upscale subdivision. But there is safeguards that have to go through the planning commission and everything for those to be put in if it's not an existing use.
In this case, this property's long.
It was,
already.
it was-
So there's nothing to.
it was a manufactured housing
Right.
facility since 68 or 70, I believe,
Yes.
and then it was grandfathered in. And like I said, there's 2 more of those. One of them's Baker Street property off Church, and then some of the property there on Linda Lane. I'm gonna present this to the planning commission as well and read it into the record. I want everything right, that it's decided there was no site review or anything, but they are having to follow engineering codes and do everything that's supposed to be done.
They can still turn in a site plan, I guess.
They'll have an engineering plan and I'll make sure that I get it to Trey, but I just wanted to clear up any confusion on that. The 2 subdivisions that are going in, we have been busy. Like I said, Matt's been at both of them. I've had a lot of calls and concerns about the Church Street project. The individual that's putting in I guess it's Parkview subdivision there that goes between Cemetery and Church, purchased some property right outside the city limits and is digging a large hole. And a lot of concern about that. That's his right. That's outside the city limits. They are using Church Street, and they're aware if there's any damage that they'll have to fix it. By law, you can't deny anybody use a public road, but the law also states if you use an excessive and abusive manner, that's in the law, and then state law that they have to repair. But he's had all his permits from the county and everything, and he's been his rights to dig that down there and move it in. If there's any damage, they'll be responsible for it. Also, we did manage to get the Cemetery Street water line easement situation under control, which was a big deal. It's gonna mean a lot. You always gotta think ahead. Getting that 3-inch line out of the middle of that road is gonna be a big deal. I do believe, Josh, that's an 8-inch going down there.
Yes.
8-inch, that'll open up a lot of opportunities in the future for the baseball complex. You could actually put in some type of amusement facility down there somewhere in the future, by having that capability there. And, I want to thank the waterworks, especially Josh, for really helping me on that. That took us about 6 weeks to get everybody lined out on that. That's gonna be a big deal. They're gonna deaden that line and hook those individuals back up, and somebody will be able to go in there and build a road without having to cause any problems. Because it's gonna have to be widened somewhere in the future. Like I said, Matt is really watching, making sure things are done right, and we got to. Like I said, that may not make some people happy, but that's our job. Make sure it's put in right. The other subdivision, and I guess that's Cypress Crossing, that's been going pretty good. They're not really using any of our streets or anything. They're having a little bit of issue with the highway department over an entrance, but that's engineer level stuff. So they'll, I think they're working through that. That subdivision's going at light speed. They're doing good work. And, we're impressed with that. Then a few rumors I'll address. Of course, social media is a great thing, but sometimes it's not. We have never been approached and have not been approached, and nobody's approached or doing anything with any data center. There are no, we've not hurting anybody. There's nobody even thinking about that.
What?
So, data centers.
Oh, yeah.
So, and the other thing that I've been hit with the past few weeks, we've never had any discussion and we don't have any block cameras.
Yeah.
They're,
I never heard of it.
yeah, all I know is flock of geese, but none of that, there's nothing going on. And, like I've tried to say, every time if you've got a concern, feel free to call up here and I'll direct you to the right place. The only other thing, like I said, I apologize, we've had a lot going on. Kind of an update on the senior citizens. The mayor of Greenbrier visited him about 2 weeks ago, and that program is being pulled out as well up there. Our senior programs across the state are really getting kicked in the teeth right now. I think it's sad, but I'm not got a presidential seal or anything, but Greenbrier's headed the same direction. I don't know if that's any comfort to us, as we were out there first, it seemed all of the day.
He actually messaged me today to see if I would meet with him on Thursday to
Okay.
discuss with him. So I think they were meeting with Faulkner County Monday maybe, and so I think that is the direction they're gonna go.
And Lakasa, you stepped up and done yeoman's work, and this one, I think we need to look at, in the future, no matter who, kind of an agreement, who kind of gonna run that over here. You and I can't, do it forever. And I think those seniors need to take some ownership of that program.
How has that been funded at this point? I
They've
know
been
we talked about it
funded.
several months ago.
They've been funding it out of their pocket.
The seniors,
Yeah.
or the organization,
Yeah,
the community.
Yeah, we've been taking care of the building and maintenance, and there's been some donors that stepped up, some people in the community that had a good heart that wanted to try to help, and so far it's been working, but I do think long term, because we need to they need to have a leadership structure over there. Don't you agree to run the program and kind of what we're responsible for on our end. Like I said, I think we've been nothing but good as far as, we replaced the heat or air unit, and we'll keep the building. That's a valuable building. We go over and help every chance we can get. I know y'all had it rough because one of our employees has been very ill, and maybe could pray for their recovery. And I do think that they need to take some ownership, and I don't think I'm talking out of school here,
And I will say, I have implemented in the last couple of weeks, they are now volunteering to do things. They need to be able to function. I don't mind helping them, and I love helping them, but they need to be able to function because I don't need another job. So, in the last couple of weeks, they have stepped up and they're starting to do things for themselves.
Well, and I think, them having ownership of that end of it, and we supply the building and people, I think that we need to, look that direction.
I certainly agree. The less that politicians are involved in those operations, the better off it is. And I put myself in that bunch. It's just.
I think we're so low on the totem pole, we're the lowly public servants.
We'll look at something to pick on if we ain't careful.
All right, I'm sorry I was running my mouth, but it was stuff that I needed to get out to y'all. Like I said, to make sure we were all on the same page. Any other announcements besides what I told y'all? All right.
I will go back and just say, did look up, there is a park on mobile food parks in the UDO. I can send that out. Everybody or send it together.
I would just send it out to the council, so that maybe everybody would have to come up with the.
I'll ask tomorrow at Metro Plan to see what they.
And I just brought that up to y'all, we've got a lot of them coming. I think we got a lot of everything. All right, no announcements. DC.
Just real quick, wanted to mention, we do have the Vilonia Teacher Business Fair coming up August 11th. That'll be the Tuesday before school starts. They're going to get fed. Normally we feed them at this event, but they're getting fed from some other something, so we were happy to let them do that. So our event will start at 12:30. We've got about 20 folks already signed up. We've got about 3 weeks, and as you know, folks will sign up as we get closer to the event, so we're hoping that that's a successful event. Usually is. We've got about 400 school employees, faculty that will be there running through to see all of our local business community. It's normally a really good event. Door prizes and trying to keep it fun and let our teachers know how much we appreciate it.
All right.
So hope to encourage more of the business community to participate as we get closer to it. Any questions?
Thank you. Yep. Appreciate it. Chamber of Commerce.
We had 2 ribbon cuttings, grand openings this month. The first one was Distinctive Designs, Florists and Gifts at 1123 Main Street, Suite 10. The second one was the Baking Mama at 967 Main Street. We want to welcome both of those businesses to our community and to the chamber. And we will also have a booth at the teacher fair that Chad was talking about, so we'll give away some prizes there. We will not have a luncheon in August. We'll revisit that. We've had low attendance during the summer, so we're going to revisit that idea.
That's all I know. Yeah. Any questions? All right, thank you. I don't know of any old business to come before the council. Moving on to new business. Resolution 2026 TRO2 agreement for site selection magazine, Arkansas Economic Development Act. David, you gonna present on that one?
I'll let her read first.
Okay.
A resolution authorizing the mayor of Vilonia to enter into agreements with the Conway Incorporated Site Selection Magazine for the purpose of promoting the city of Vilonia in the upcoming Arkansas Economic Development Guide. Whereas the City Council of Vilonia recognizes the need for the city to promote economic development within the city of Vilonia, and whereas the Arkansas Economic Development Guide will distribute over 20,000 copies to site selectors, developers, given out at trade shows and conferences, and mailed to subscribers. And whereas the cost of $7,350 for a full-page ad shall come from the general fund, Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of Vilonia, the Mayor of Vilonia is hereby authorized to enter into agreements with the Conway Incorporated Site Selection Magazine for the purpose of taking out ad space in the 2027 Arkansas Economic Development Guide in the amount of $7,350 to be taken from the general fund account.
You've heard a reading of resolution, now I guess it'll be on the floor for.
I'm making a motion to open for discussion.
Alright. Second. I have a motion second to open discussion on resolution 2026 DDR002. Alright, I know where this is going. Yes, alright.
So I asked Chad to help with this. He was approached originally by the magazine company, which is kind of confusing, correct? Because Conway Inc. is not in Conway, Arkansas, by any means. But there's a magazine they put out every year. I'm sure y'all have seen them before. But different site selectors and stuff like that will get these, and it's a way to showcase your city for growth, correct? Come on up, Chad. Help me out here.
I was just waiting. Yes, so I did want to mention that too. It has no affiliation at all with Conway, Arkansas. They're out of Georgia. It's just an unfortunate naming coinky-dink. And so anyway, they did approach us. And really, the VCDC's main focus is economic development. We've got hundreds of houses going up. The school is going to continue to get more resources. The city is going to need more resources from non-property tax revenue. So we're doing all we can to try and get any vacant buildings, any spots that are open across town filled so that we can make sure that we're maximizing our business community revenue for the city. With that being said, we were approached. We feel like it's a great opportunity for us to be able to promote Vilonia. There are incorporated communities that are larger than us, that are much smaller than us, that are in those magazines. It's an every 2-year publication, and so basically we'll be out there for a couple of years. The VCDC is going to front the cost for the actual advertisement, the graphic designer that we're working with, and I assure you, based on looking at the last few issues, ours will be a lot better than what's already out there. And so I'm confident in that. But I do think it's a great opportunity for us to get Vilonia out there. We're doing that piecemeal, one at a time with these developers. As we have opportunities across Vilonia, this is a way to put that out there in a much more focused and larger volume way.
Question.
Yes, sir.
So are you co-opting, are you asking to co-op with the city to cover?
No, the city, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
I just wanted to make sure.
The city is paying for the ad space. We're paying for the creation of the ad with the graphic design.
Right, I would call that a co-op, which is fine.
Okay.
You're doing part of it, and we're paying for
Yes,
the actual space, yeah. Okay.
Alright. Questions and discussion?
I would like to say that I think you're headed in the right direction. If you really want to promote the city and make things happen, the business has changed over the years. Now, you deal with the site selectors, and you'll never see the businesses unless you impress them. So that's the direction to go, because that's the way it works. That's the way the business works anymore. And I think that's a good
We've noticed in our last couple of years of doing CDI, me and Chad and Kim Williams have gone through CDI at UCA over the last 3 years, and that was one thing that we've really noticed with them is that you're not getting, Chick-fil-A is not coming to the cities and look at them. They're hiring a site selector and they say, I need a population of 20,000, a traffic count of 10,000, and this, and they find them.
Yes. And the data points that we have surprised people with, that's what we're going to put in this, because when we actually tell them what the median income is and what the actual population of, the city is, 5,000, but the school district is 13 to 15,000, and you just keep looking at a 5-mile radius, and they're surprised that there's that volume of people here and at that median income. So
I've had that happen many a time.
I know, so that's what we want to focus on, is what people don't know about us, put that in this and make sure they know.
I have one other question, if I may. So this ad, is it just a general ad about the city of Vilonia and all the great things like the demographics, or are we actually marketing particular sites? We're just leaving them, we're letting them ask and then we take them where.
Yes, it's general.
I got
you. We want to keep it general.
Okay, and I think I'm certainly for the advancement and economic development of the community. So, you know,
Yeah. The growth is coming.
Much more about
We're not promoting or fostering the growth. It's coming. We're just trying to help guide and control it.
Well, and we want good, positive businesses and do the site selectors. I do think that is, that is a good
Well,
thing.
and that's, like you said, the median income is one of our biggest, we get people to really, when we tell them that we're as rich of a city as Rogers, Arkansas. You know, and they're just astonished that we have that much disposable income within the city limits of our residents.
Well, site selectors, they come in, they look at transportation, getting goods in, getting goods out, but they also look for workforce and where you promote your schools and, you know, the ballparks and things that there are people that they can attract people here to run these businesses and everything. They want the amenities there, so that's what you gotta do.
That's what hurt us on the Tractor Supply Warehouse when we were workforce.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, sir. Further discussion or retirement? On the will of this body. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve 2026 PDR-002.
Now, second.
Have a motion second to approve resolution 2026 PDR 00-2. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, stand approved. I'll see if that's done per your orders. Per the council order.
Thank you, council, on that one. I appreciate y'all helping us on trying to promote
I
Vilonia
think the council made council made a wise, very cordial decision on that. All right, to the main event, for the first time, for the first of three readings, ordinance 2026 PD 0-02. I'd like to remind before we get into reading this, we'll read it. It will be here for 3 months, so it'll be July, August, it'll be September before it gets up.
I'd like to make a motion open for discussion before we read.
Second.
All right, I have a motion second for discussion on it before it's read. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, proceed.
Just some of the things that I read on this, guys, from the council standpoint. Some of our recommendations made during the work session we had a couple weeks ago, I don't feel like we were heard completely on those. The board member spot that we discussed kind of concerns me a little bit. They did put it in the bylaws, but it also says that these bylaws have not been approved yet. They won't even look at them to approve them until August. If I'm not mistaken, we can ask them on that here in a second. The other thing that kind of concerns me is the wording on that, on the admission in there. It just keeps saying a municipality, mayor of a municipality. If I'm not mistaken, I believe they serve quite a few municipalities. Is that correct?
They serve Holland, Mount Vernon, and Allen one.
So in essence, it could be that it wouldn't even be Vilonia as a municipality as a representation. The way it reads, it could be somebody from Holland, the mayor there could make that recommendation. So that kind of concerns me, especially when we represent a fifth of the customers.
20%.
20%. So,
But how do you single out it'd be hard to single out Vilonia as a single municipality that could recommend.
well, how many customers does Holland serve compared to
There's
others?
other city limits that, there's about not near what we got, but still, in fairness, it's gonna be hard to say that, I think. I don't know what your thoughts.
Well, that's one
Warren's
of
thoughts are on it, but it's gonna be hard to just take it from one municipality.
That's just one of my concerns I wanted to bring to the body's attention, is like I said, the wording, that, and then also it's not anywhere put in the ordinance at all about the municipality. So the ordinance is law, the bylaws can be changed, right? The ordinance can't without the body's coming back, our body coming back and changing it. So who says that, and I'm not saying there's one by any means, but I'm looking at devil's advocate of it. Who says they don't change the bylaws next year and take that completely out? And get rid of that spot and go back the way that it was originally wrote. So those are just concerns I have, and I don't want my concerns to sound like I disapprove of this, because like we talked about work session, I think it's gonna be a great thing. I think the opportunity to open up for better bonds and better interest rates on those bonds, which will in turn save our citizens money, I'm for 100%. But I would just like to see some of that wording cleared up. And then approval of the bylaws brought to us on that. And then the other thing was, I did not see anything on an asset list like Mr. Matos asked about, just for the city limits of Vilonia, what all would be theirs. Those are the concerns I have. Anything else?
Anybody else have anything?
Well, I just want to echo, I share the councilman's, words down there, and because I had the same thing, Mark. I mean, you know, they can pass what they want to, as far as I'm concerned. It's their body, their board can pass whatever. And I appreciate it, but by the way this is worded, the word may, well, they may not. And if you read the last paragraph, it says nothing in this section shall be construed to grant any mayor or municipality vested right to appoint a director. So, I mean, with the wording, what's the point?
So we've got this open for discussion. Anybody like to answer from the board side? And I know we've got the legal experts here as well.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Sure, and we appreciate, like I said, the comments. You know, one of the things that, and I'm gonna try to take the simple one first before we go to the board side, was the asset, but we talked about it, we discussed it. You know, we kind of referenced back to the original ordinance that was passed in '91, and talked about going back to the Public Facilities Board. You know, it lists in generic terms what you're talking about. You know, what kind of constitutes the system, water distribution system, right? And so an asset list, as we were talking through, whether it's our auditor or, you know, we mentioned it to Clint, that's really not feasible. Even when you have a project from our standpoint, let's say we have a new water main installed, right? We get a bid in, and that bid does not delineate itemized material list of what goes into that project. It's kind of like when you buy a car. You know, I go buy my car, I don't give a list that says, well, you got 4 tires, 8 spark plugs, and all that stuff. So we don't have you're not gonna have an asset list, so to speak. You're gonna have a generic description of what to incorporate with the system. And we would reference back to the ordinance that was passed in '91. And again, you know, this is just a conversion. And
This is what your attorney said?
What?
This is what your attorney said?
This is what, you know.
Or just y'all come up with?
This is what we were discussing as a board, you know, as far as that goes. Clint, do you want to add some of that?
So this is a conversion. And
I'm sorry, could you state?
I'm sorry, my name is Clint McHugh.
Okay.
I assist Vilonia, whatever it's,
I'm sorry.
other legal matters, including this conversion to the PWA. There's a state statutory procedure in order to convert from one to the other. Within that language is a statute that, the same concerns that you have, hey, we want to make sure we get everything listed, and it's realized that that's probably physically impossible. I mean, you've got a water company that's been in existence for years. They've got, I mean, you know, you get down to fittings and pipe and all, it's just, to say that there's a comprehensive list, it would be 100% accurate, would be a false statement. But the statute provides that on conversion, that whatever its assets and liabilities, everything converts over to PWA automatically by law.
Well, what
That's
would
what
those
the statute-
be? What would those assets and liabilities?
Everything you have now.
But would it be documented so that?
It's not, so that's what I say, the statute says it's automatically done, it's done by law. So the
There's
PWA
no
is not
record
just,
that states, so they own real estate.
correct.
That wouldn't be documented, that they own that real estate?
Well, we discussed about doing, you know, for the
The
real estate
easements?
part, yeah, for that, we could do quick claims, we could show a record, a documented trail of it being in the PWA. But what I'm saying is, it is automatically done from the conversion that's approved. Now, understand, it's not like you go out and just form a PWA and it's all good and
you exist and now you got all these assets. It has to be approved by the state, Secretary of State. ARC is the agency which oversees all the PWAs. So there are specific steps and milestones we had to meet before they approved it. So the PWA exists with that, you know, with the conversion of the finalization conversion. They're recognizing the fact that, hey, what was Vilonia Waterworks, PFB is now the PWA.
See, right now, it's assumed, and I say the word assumed because there's nothing on record. It's assumed that the water company owns the water lines and fire hydrants here. I'm concerned that 30, 40 years from now, when we're pretty close to some of that equipment, the water lines need to be completely overhauled, that there could be a total different group of people here that wants to have a debate on who owns and who's responsible for fixing those water lines or those fire hydrants. At this point, it's assumed that the water company owns those. They own the fire hydrants and the water lines. So any repairs that are made is their responsibility.
Would it not naturally assume that that would transfer to the PWA?
But 50 years from now or 30 years from now, when none of us are sitting here remembering the discussion, where's the record that states who owns what?
Are there any private hydrants in the city limits at all?
No.
Because I know they are common, that's why I mean.
You cannot have a
Who
private
paid for
hydrant.
those assets?
Can't have a private hydrant on the public water system.
They paid for it.
They do in Conway.
No, I know.
I mean, it normally when a business is transferring ownership or.
We can do that.
And that's basically what's happening here.
If that interferes, we can do the bit of responsibility.
There needs to be some type of, I understand you can't get down to everything,
Yeah, well.
but like who owns the vehicles? So that.
Titles.
Huh? Well, the
So,
vehicles
so all
are
this is
titled.
titled. If City Hall gets a question about a water line leak, they don't respond themselves, they send it to
The
water.
water.
So that's not gonna change 5 days or 5 years or 50 years, that's gonna be the same process. I mean, it's, the water company operates, maintains, and owns the water infrastructure.
So there's no private water lines, hydrants in the city limits?
No.
I mean, I think, so to get in that, you're talking about service lines, maybe they're the responsibility, but that's past the meter, but
Who
so.
owns the easements?
Those would belong to Waterworks. Those would transfer with any authority over to the PWA. That would be legally, they transfer.
What does our attorney think about that? Do you agree?
In my conversation with Mr. McHugh, what I understand is that what we're describing is the deed transferring, recording those deeds with the county clerk and stuff is not necessary to convert to the water system. At the same time, I'm hearing what you're saying is we need to document somehow. I mean, I think you can meet somewhere in the middle of still documenting those things, but in order to do a conversion that the statute describes as what we're doing, that's not necessary in the same way that if we sold a piece of real estate to some company.
The statute doesn't address.
Yeah, it does not require. It's
But
a simplified version of that, and I did not know that when we were in a workshop.
But we can certainly ask for that as a body up here, right?
It's not problem, yeah, that's not problematic. I mean, I don't see why Vilonia would care. It would go from the PFB. I mean, understand, I know of nothing the city of Vilonia owns, so they would be coming to you to sign a quick claim deed, an assignment, a bill of sale, anything like that. I mean, it would be from the PFB to the PWA.
I'd be more concerned with
Yeah,
the
no
water
problem.
lines and fire hydrants, things that later
That's
on
included.
down the road, something may show up and we have some type of a paper trail that says, no, you own that. Or
It automatically conveys when it goes to the PWA.
what is being conveyed though if it's not
It's the
done?
water system.
Well, that's my so I asked about the hydrants and water lines, because we, as a fireman in Conway, we check the fire hydrants, right? Like the one on Oak Street in front of McDonald's is owned by McDonald's. It's connected to the water main and everything like that, there's no meter, there's nothing like that.
Well, here's what happened on that.
But if it's broke, they have to fix it, McDonald's.
State law, I think, has been very clear, that, they might have put that in the
In the right
'70s. I think it's state law pretty clear now, from what I understand, that the water hydrant has to be owned by the utility. They kind of fixed that.
So anything that's under pressure that people drink cannot be private owned.
Cannot. You have
They
to.
changed the law. Probably when they put the McDonald's in, they didn't. It got grandfathered in.
I mean, and there's more of those that are random through Conway that we have that are private hydrants, and we don't check them.
Conway needs to address that.
Well, I mean, you know how most of it goes, and you all know better than I do. Subdivision comes in. They may put in fire hydrants, they may put in water lines. Those are dedicated to the water company, once they accept it. once
No
they
different than
inspect
those
it.
sewer lines on the roads.
Correct.
But I do think, to be clear, I do think there was a change in state law, and I forget when it was. And that anything that goes in on a pressured system under state law has to be owned by the public utility.
That was just my concern, was we don't have any, so there's no private lines, pressure lines or hydrants, correct?
Anything past the meter, but that's your.
Yes, past meter is your own, yes. Okay, that was my concern, like, when he was out talking about asset list, my biggest concern was, like he said, 20 years down the road, this fire hydrant right in front of City Hall, they're gonna say, well, that's cities, y'all pay for that, that's your hydrant, we're not fixing it. You know what I mean? Because they're gonna say it's a private hydrant, I'm not saying it's gonna happen.
Could they? Yeah.
But could they?
So the Department of Health will not let anybody that does not hold a water license work on a water line. That's state law, they come by and say that if they catch somebody without a water license working on that, you've contaminated the water system. I assure you, Vilonia does not want anybody working on their pressure supply lines.
So,
No.
in section 3, when it talks about the conversion shall include all rights, powers, duties, assets, liabilities, contracts, and so forth, that includes every fire hydrant, every water line that's pressurized in the city limits, correct? Okay.
What would it look like to make everybody comfortable? Would it just be like a bullet list of, if you include all fire hydrants existing as of?
I don't think it's necessary to go down to every little penny
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
in their bank account.
Is one of the concerns we had at the workshop time was if it was, and I was understanding it wrong. I thought we would be doing a conventional sale where we exchange money and stuff. And then that means you have to have a survey of every one of these utility lines. And I understand now that you're not exchanging money because you're just doing a conversion that is provided by the statute. It's much more simplified. But to address your concern, I think there's no harm in just doing an appendix that just lists across the board, all easements, all fire hydrants, all vehicles. I mean, without being too specific, I don't think
I don't
that's
think we have to
impossible to
get down
do.
to every little, or as far as I'm concerned, every little fitting, or,
Is that,
I mean, money is an asset, every CD, I don't care about that.
would that allay the fears of it? So that would kind of dovetail into taking care of any questions about who owns the mains and the
And the easements.
hydrants and all that.
The easements aren't, I started thinking about that, the easements aren't too big a concern, and we can throw that in there, but they're documented on our site plans and all that, and the county ones, so, because we ran that issue with the laundromat, if I remember right, is that correct, Mayor? With the easement of running down the sewer line, down the property.
The recorded sewer easement already there.
And the property owner was trying to say it wasn't, and it was showing at the
Yeah,
county
it was
clerk's
there.
office that it
Yeah.
was, so the easements are recorded in multiple locations.
Yes, and the waterworks is once again required to be recorded anytime they have a public line that goes in. I just got through doing that on Cemetery Street.
I mean, you could even throw that in on that section of 3 where it says assets, could you not, instead of having to do a whole nother
You can
amendment?
reference some, all the assets listed on Exhibit A
Yeah.
are included
Okay.
with this, you can do that. That would
We're
take.
trying to get everything lined out that agree with both of our legal.
Yeah, that's fine.
I would feel better voting for it, because I think it's a great thing what y'all are doing. I can kind of see what the state's it's kind of what they're trying to get done. So I kind of like, I understand what we're trying to do here, so I'm not against the idea. I just want you to know that.
I like the example of when you buy the vehicle, it doesn't have all the tires listed and everything. It is a little bit of understood, but then when
But
you're
come
dealing
up
with.
yeah, it's a little.
Yeah, there's no way you list every bolt and every coupler and
It's not-
pipe, yeah.
We're making progress, and they always say policies like making sausage, so we're trying to
I mean,
sausage.
you're talking, to me, you're talking, the vehicle's a great example, but it's really not, because it's apples and oranges. I mean, you're talking 2 multi-million-dollar corporations, basically. So-
Can the waterworks generate some kind of list like that,
Yeah.
you know,
It
put
can
that
be
together
basic.
and everybody,
Okay, so that's one issue that we're kind of come together on that, correct? What was the other concern?
The wording on, which again, the bylaws or whatever the bylaws, because again, they can change that, but I'd like to see something in the actual ordinance that shows the position on, the board.
say, right? Say that one more time.
So y'all changed the section in, for directors and officers on there in the bylaws, but again, that's not legally binding, like this, I mean, you can change bylaws whenever the board wants to.
100%.
So I'd like to see something actually in the ordinance added to it, a section in there. I don't know how the rest of the council feels on that.
I would agree.
And, you know, I would say the first thing is, we heard the discussion. I think you can appreciate that we're, you know, from hearing y'all, the discussion and the feedback that we're getting. You know, we're trying to put the Water Association in a better spot to achieve, better funding opportunities for infrastructure projects that are coming sooner rather than later, right? And as the Water Association has grown, right, it's not, does it resemble in some respects, what was here in 91? Yes, and we still got water lines and stuff, but, you know, we pushed over that 10,000 meter mark. We got multiple municipalities. They, you know, taken in the, Water Association or Water Group, you know, Jason can tell you that, but Mount Vernon, NOLA. And so we're representing more than just Vilonia. Vilonia Vital Park, yes, believe me, it is a vital part. I think that, that the effort, and one reason we did not adopt it in our last board meeting was, one, we wanted some feedback. Hey, we don't want to adopt something else, they don't have to hold, you know, as far as that's concerned, right? So, you know, the thought is, this is an effort to hopefully give credence to, for y'all to understand that we are going to recognize the input from our municipalities, right? Is it a black and white statement that says you are going to pick somebody from the city limits of Vilonia? It's not. It's not. And honestly, if you look at our board right now, you know, of the, we had 4 members present the other day. There wasn't a person from the city limits of Vilonia, you know, of those 4 members, okay? So it would not be in our best interest to not listen to the municipalities that are in our system, right? Do we want to say you need to have exactly somebody from the city limits of Vilonia? I don't know. You know, I think that we've always had a great working relationship. We look forward to continuing that great working relationship. But in the interest of trying to serve the full system and the full population on the system.
Well, I will state for the record that I will say, and I've had a lot of experience, a lot of years, and when I was county judge, I was a state rep, Vilonia Water Works System has stepped up. Anytime when I was county judge, if we were out on a road project and we needed help, they were there. Anytime that there was any type of economic development, they were there. So they have, I mean, they've always done right every time I've had to deal with it. When things are needed, they've stepped up. And I think that's how they felt that they've been part of the service back to the community. Anytime we needed water line moved, if we needed a tank of water, we were chip sealing the road, they were there to help us. And they've had a long history of that, and I want to applaud them for that. I think that's been their way of giving back. And it's important when you're out here building a road and you need water, or it's important when you bid a $2 million road project and you've got, you know, $200,000 worth of water line in the right way to deal with it.
Josh, does take that good, or do you have anything you'd like to add as far as that?
So where do we get the majority of our water from? The white, what is that?
Lone Oak White
Lone Oak
project.
White? Do we have representation on their board from Vilonia? Okay, my understanding is we own 20% stake in Lone Oak White. How would you feel if their board said, we're not gonna take your opinion on anything, anymore. And we're gonna reappoint somebody else to that position, and Vilonia Waterworks will not have a seat on that board.
I think we're missing the point altogether.
Well,
The person most qualified for those positions is who needs to be chosen. I don't care
I
where they're
100%
from.
agree.
It's the person who brings the most to the table, that can come in and represent the waterworks, that knows what's going on, and that can be a voice that means something. That's the kind of people that we can choose. I don't care where they come from.
I agree 100%.
We're trying to put a limit on where it's gotta come from, and I don't think we should.
I think it should come from the 20% of the represented customers. I mean, am I wrong for that? Would you not like
If it's
that?
not the most qualified person, I do agree that's wrong.
Okay, so,
But
here's the thing,
The
though.
most qualified people are who needs to be on that board. You're limited to a short, list of people who are on it.
You're
You
saying
need to
that
get the
we're
most
not,
qualified.
so we can't find a qualified person in 20% of the
I don't
customers in the
know,
city?
I don't know if you can or not.
I don't know why we
You don't know
couldn't.
that
We
either.
have.
You don't know that.
I understand that. But that's why we talked about the work session of the
I
mayor.
know what we talked about, but
Well,
I didn't agree
no,
with the
but
ten.
not everybody else here knows we
Right.
talked about the work session.
Let's hang on there a minute.
Just let me address that. No, it wouldn't be fair if we told you you could not have representation. In fact, what we're saying is you might have all 5 seats. There's nothing in there that says 5 people from the city can't be there.
That's it.
So we are not saying, we want everybody to be represented, but we don't want to exclude anybody.
I'm not saying exclude anybody. I'm just asking that there's representation from the city at all points.
As the bylaws read right now, there could be, without a doubt.
No, it couldn't. And it says it may, like Mr. May just
Anybody
pointed
can
out,
run
and it's
for
in municipality. It could be any
election.
municipality. not
But
one.
right now, you can have 5 from the city, the way they read.
I agree, and I don't like that either, because it is an equal representation.
But it's the most qualified.
And that's why when we talked about the work session, so in the work session, we discussed, the mayor would appoint it, the council would approve it, and then it would go to their board for approval. That way you guarantee you have a qualified person. How is that not equal representation?
So
if I may, in my opinion, means absolutely nothing, my experience, not much more than that. PWA is a state legislature creation for a specific purpose. That's to run water, wastewater, nothing else. A PFD can do any numerous things, anything. PFDs go under counties or cities. They appoint the boards and stuff. The PWA is overseen not by quorum court, not by city council, by NRC. All they do is water, wastewater. So the intent was to take politics out of it, quite frankly. And the idea is that we've got a board of PWA that knows water and wastewater. You mentioned Lone Oak Light. The best thing about Lone Oak Light is you've got general managers, you've got operators that are on that board. They have real discussions in their meetings, and they come up, if they have problems, they're discussed and they're addressed. It's not, they don't have to go back and ask their boss or people that know. So the intent of PWA in itself, and the state is pushing it, ANRC is doing it. What Vilonia Waterworks turned into is a regional water authority, not just a city of Vilonia water supplier, but it's a regional water authority.
Correct.
And they want to take the politics out of it. They don't want to have to go to any cities, quite frankly, or any quorum court and ask for permission to have somebody who happens to serve this term, and then that may change the next term. You talk about 50 years, what's going to happen? Who's going to be running the city in 50 years? Is there going to be a buddy that's going to be on there that doesn't know? All he knows is he turns his faucet on, water comes out. That's not who you want on PWA.
That's my concern too, from the same standpoint. Like I said, 50 years.
But that's the
When
that's
all
the
of us are
design.
retired and gone, Josh's replacement doesn't come in and start putting his buddies on the board, and it's all a group of cousins or friends or whatever that are now.
ANRC. There's oversight with that. I mean, we all know of the examples of failings in the water department, that in water. That's why the state has taken a more aggressive approach and tried to steer towards something that is overseen by people who know water and wastewater. So that's a purpose. Again, I'm not interjecting anything that what should or shouldn't do. Just saying the PWA is not meant and was not formed to allow for local politics to dictate who is on the boards and who makes those decisions.
And that's kind of where I have a philosophical disagreement with our state legislature, because this last session, they've taken quite a few things away from the local government, the local people's control. And so in this case, I do agree in somewhat that the politicians, and I think we've had a pretty smooth running ship. We pretty well stayed out of
It's
their
been
business
flawed.
down. I mean, I think so.
I'm gonna reiterate.
But the great thing has been, and I'm not against this transition, I think the great thing has been that the mayor has been able to appoint board members, whereas if there is a problem, the citizens in this community can complain to the mayor and the council, and they can give us enough heck. We haven't had to have that problem, thank God, I don't think so, but they can give us heck to where we can put pressure on that board, okay? I'm talking about the people, the citizens of this community, the ratepayers, the voters, the people who truly owns the water in this state.
There always has to be representation. That's a.
But, and I don't disagree, but the representation.
Here's what the legislature's done, and I've been involved in it because I love water. And my dealings with Lono Quiet community and Conway Court and Conway County and ANRC has got serious. ANRC used to be, I still want to call it soil and water. I have to get over that with all this wonderful stuff that they always change everything. But anyway, Arkansas Natural Resources Commission, they are serious. Water's a serious issue right now. We're blessed here. Trey and I had this conversation the other day with them on another deal. We're blessed. The state legislature and ANRC has realized that they've got a serious problem. So what they've stepped forward and done, they've required audits, they've required the rate studies, they require comprehensive planning strategies and stuff. And ANRC right now is focused like a laser on these PWAs. They're focused like a laser on some of these little old cities and stuff. There was a news article come out, I guess, about 3 weeks ago. I happened to catch it in the Gazette online where there was 30 or 40 municipalities that are fixing to lose funding because they haven't had their rate studies done and they haven't complied with what ANRC is realizing. So, folks, water is going to be a big issue. Go ask Conway right now. Go ask Conway County. ANRC, you know, and kind of like, all I can tell you is the state has been serious about it, and they've been serious about the oversight of the PWA. But I agree with you.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying that they don't do a good job governing the water bodies, but I'm just saying that and I think that's where I kind of see both sides of the fence here, and I kind of think that's where Councilman Craig's coming from. That whole control, any bit of control, we really don't have that much control anyway. But all local control is being stripped from the local communities, and it's not just with this. It's in other things. I don't, you know, it's neither
Does
here
it
nor
not
there.
come down to this, that right now, if a citizen's got a complaint about the water company, okay? They can come up here and say, this is my complaint with the water company, and then we talk to y'all, okay? Once we're out of the picture, which is what this does, it takes us out of the picture, who do they complain to then?
They could still complain to the mayor and then go to the ANRC.
I was gonna say, that's my thinking here is, if they don't get satisfaction from y'all, then they go to the NRC.
Yeah, but
Say, this is the problem.
Well, that's a problem though, because they can come here once a month on a Tuesday night, 5 miles or 3 miles or 2 miles from their house, or they can take a day off work and go to Little Rock.
Or they can get online, or they can
between
make
the
a
hours
phone
of
call.
8 and 5.
And
So I'm just saying that's what, I think that's what the hurdle is.
Big problem out of a little problem, just myself. Because
Probably so.
You know, I'll say this and I'll go sit down. You know, we're here to serve our system, the ratepayers on the system, and we're here to try to obviously satisfy all the ANRC requirements. You know, as part of this PWA conversion, you know, this is one of the the things they put in there is to get an ordinance passed from the group that, the city council that organized the public facilities board. And hopefully y'all look favorable on this. You know, I think we've explained that we're trying to put ourselves, and I think Clint, you know, said it pretty eloquently a while ago, a lot better than I am, and as far as this, because he deals with it day in, day out. But we're here to serve, and we want to hear your voice. We want to hear all of our regulators' voices, but we also want to hear all the other municipalities as well.
Again,
I echo what James said. You know, we're looking for, and I'm not saying that I'm the best guy to be on the water board. I'm not, but we're looking for those folks that want to serve and have those qualifications. And hopefully that you can go through the board and they have them interact in some way or another, like I mentioned in the working session, on a day-to-day basis. And they kind of have that institutional knowledge of what goes on, and hopefully we can support Josh and Jason and the team as best we can from the boards. We appreciate your consideration.
I think the only thing I'm gonna add, and most people wouldn't know this, like I said, water is my thing. Josh can, the state, federal government, and everybody is focused like a laser right now on water quantity, supplies, long-term, and they're focused on water quality. And I get amused sometimes when I see some of these people that get on social media. Water quality is a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal. They're checked, rechecked, ANRC's checking them, the health department's checking them. And water's a big deal for life. We wouldn't have the growth we've had here right now with that. If you want to talk 20 or 30 years down the road, if you choose not to go down this route, and that's a decision y'all have to make, this will be the first reading tonight, it needs to lay here 3 months, and I think my advice to y'all, you deserve them a vote up or down, and you move on with their next step if they need to. But you're gonna see regionalization take hold. And I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, you're gonna see entities like Conway Corp, Community Water, Central Arkansas Water. You're gonna see them get a finger hold wherever they can. That's just, I'm not running any of them down. I've been there 15 or 20 years going along the way. And that's where this thing's headed. Water is fixing to be a big, big deal. So that's the end game. And I don't have a vote unless it's time.
So, again, the concerns are still there, in my opinion. The addendum added thing would be great. I would like to see something wrote into the ordinance about the position being held by municipality. Whether it says Vilonia or not, we can work through that. But I do recommend it. And the current bylaws you gave us does not have this approved, correct?
That's correct. We did not want to, as a board, we did not want to approve something without actually, letting you read it first. Hey, just come back and hey, this is what we did.
With being those changes in the ordinance and not having that approved in there, I'll make a motion to table 2026 PDO-02 for this month until we can get those resolved.
I have a motion and a second to table proposed ordinance. I'm gonna go with a voice vote.
Who's second?
I said.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
No. No.
Yes.
Yes. All right, so it's tabled. All right, so at this time, so what needs to happen now is while everybody's here,
Just the only thought I have is when you meet again, you have a right to, you can waive the first reading.
Correct.
And you're not losing it, you're not starting another 3 months.
Yeah.
Instead, you don't have to put it on for all 3 readings. You could waive the first one, but not the second and third. Just wanted to, but
First and second.
so
You
here-
could.
So everybody's clear what we've got both of the legal gurus here and the board here. This is a golden opportunity. So before you're gonna allow this to come off the table and be for the second reading, you can waive the first one. What are the issues that need to be addressed? The 2 main concerns. What are the main concerns? Let's get that out there.
Yeah, that's what we'd like to hear.
I could,
And I'd like to hear from each one of the council members if we could.
Go ahead, Mr. Matos.
well, my concern is I want to see the addendum, that we discussed, with, at least in a general sense, the assets that are being transferred. And, I'm kind of 50-50 on the board representation. I do see the water company's, view on that, but I also see the council's view, and I'm kind of a little bit more for local smaller government and that ability to be able to complain on a local level rather than driving to Little Rock. So I'm kind of a little more leaning that having some board representation on there.
What's your two concerns?
Those are my only concerns.
Okay. What's your concerns, Steve?
Same as he just said, I like both those, I would like to see that, like we talked about, section 3, you could add in, see addendum, like, our attorney was saying, and just add that to it as a supplemental document. And then it would be nice to have it wrote in there somewhere in the ordinance about the representation, since again, like I was saying, this is law, and bylaw is not.
Or you want to call it a municipal position, and so all the municipalities have to appoint one, or are you gonna, I don't see how you're gonna do that without getting challenged on it.
Again, I see that side of it, but also I'm concerned about our voters that we represent in the city limits. I'm not worried I know they have to worry about 11,000 customers. I have to worry about 3,000 to 4,000, right? And so that's where, I'd like to see it say something about Vilonia, because that's who we represent, is the citizens of Vilonia. I don't represent the citizens in Holland. I don't represent those people.
But I will add to that, right now, the board is not composed of city limits of Vilonia, and they have done an excellent job representing us and taking care of us as the city limits. So I think the qualifications is much more important to me than your address.
It doesn't have to be in the city limits. I'm just offering that the mayor, who is elected by the citizens of Vilonia, has that option to put that person. I don't care if the most qualified, like you said, what if it does come from right outside the city limits? Maybe Josh is the best person on board after he retires, and he lives a block out the city limits. I would love for him to be there because he's that knowledge and experience.
So you want the mayor to be able to appoint, not necessarily they live in city limits.
I can live with that. It don't necessarily have to be in the city limits. Because again, it does need to be that qualified person, but I like having the fact that our citizens have a little bit of a voice in that board.
But does the mayor have the knowledge of the water system to know who's most qualified?
Well, we've always had, the mayor's always leaned on the water board for those
But this is
suggestions.
Vilonia Water is no longer gonna be Vilonia Water, it's Southeast Faulkner County Public Water Authority, so.
But it goes back to
it's a whole different entity than what we started out with, where we used to appoint the board.
Correct, but the checks and balance behind that is the approval of the council and the water board. If you don't have both those approvals, then that person that the mayor wants doesn't matter. You find somebody else.
But if I'm understanding correctly, the board accepts this person or renews this person's term. So even if the mayor appoints someone that he feels like is qualified, if the board doesn't feel that way, we don't get that person anyway.
Correct, and we find a different person that both bodies, the council and the board, can agree on.
Why not just cut through the chase and let the board select the most qualified person? And that's basically what you've always done, and that's what.
Because I'm worried about the future end, like we've discussed, where it could get into, I'm just gonna put people that I want on there as yes men, or all I want.
I don't think.
So could we compromise on that and say the mayor can recommend a person? The mayor can recommend a person and then the board evaluates that person? I don't think the board would have a problem with the mayor making a recommendation versus the mayor forcing that person.
Yeah.
And that's pretty close to what we have right now, to be honest. The mayor of the municipalities are making those recommendations.
Well, this says, I get that, but the wording is the key in that. It says, may, it doesn't say shall, like Mike pointed out. It says municipality, so it doesn't mean it necessarily comes from the 20% of our mayor that represents 20% of the customers. It could come from the Holland mayor who represents 1/3%, or whatever, because I don't know how many customers they have in City Hall, or NOLA, or wherever.
Basically, what it all comes down to is we're losing some control up here. I mean, it's just.
We've already lost control, that's long gone.
I don't disagree, James, on that. I kind of see both sides here, but I kind of see where Councilman Craig's, I kind of am in a somewhat agreement, and even Joe brought this up at the work session first. I kind of see where we want a little bit of representation because of, and I guess some of it may be change is hard, but I kind of see, I'm soft to his thoughts on that. Because I think and I appreciate what the state's doing, with their oversight, but it's harder for citizens to go to Little Rock and complain.
Can I address that right there? So this isn't the PWA versus the city, okay? The PWA is going to serve all of our ratepayers, and they don't have to drive to Little Rock. They can come every Wednesday, once a month, or one Wednesday a month to the board, and they are a ratepayer. They have a voice with the board. That is their representation. We're not cities against cities. It's gonna be the PWA that serves all of the community, and they can come and voice their opinion just like they do now. So don't think that we're sitting here gonna say, we're gonna leave Vilonia Water and we're gonna set Vilonia City aside and say, y'all have to represent yourself to come in here. Anybody, you're a ratepayer, you're gonna be represented under the PWA. That's what our goal is. That's what we do now. So I just want to say that, so don't think we're trying to.
And I appreciate that, and I believe that.
Okay.
I believe that.
Actually, it's easier if they have a complaint, come straight to you rather than come here and we come.
They can
You
get
might be
myself
totally
a
right,
radio.
James.
That's out.
Josh and I have a joke, how much we talk a week, and they've been, nobody likes paying bills. And, we can experience that on the sewer side. But once again, I'm gonna tell you, water is important, and it's gonna get expensive. That's just where it's headed.
And I don't disagree. Again, I don't want it to sound like I'm not for the PWA. I think it is gonna be good. I think it's going to have great opportunities for better bonds and interest rates. Because it does. You get out from our debt and you have your own, and that's it. Some other things too we discussed. I think those are all great.
So while we're all in the room and everything, is everybody clear on the concerns and trying to make some more sausage? Everybody, have any questions from the water
Looks to
board?
me like this is gonna drag out forever, because they're gonna come in and say,
No,
this is our recommendation on the change. It's gonna come to us, well, no, we don't want that change. We want it a different way. This could go on, so
if those
I'm not up here anymore.
if those concerns of mine are answered, I'll waive the first, second reading and put an emergency clause in for them and pass it that night.
Emergency clause on it.
I mean, if we're dragging it out, why not? If we're already discussing it for a month or two, why drag it?
So we're gonna meet again in August. We can waive the first reading, we'll have a second reading. My only advice to y'all is, you owe them a vote, up or down, that way they know where to go.
Well, what are we voting on?
You will be voting to form the PWA?
You know what I'm talking, yeah, I understand.
What if that's
Yeah.
what it
But we're not voting on nothing tonight.
No, I'm talking September,
Yes.
and they can.
I agree, we can't keep kicking the can down the road for 6 months, I agree with you.
Well, thank you.
We have that ability up here.
We owe them up or down, they make their own decisions, and life will move on. Would be my advice, everybody at least.
They need to move forward, I'm
Yeah.
sure, want to move forward.
So the council does agree that we're going, the concerns are out there, you've got them wrote down.
Yeah, and I will say, the board was pretty decisive, we're moving forward, because we don't have the time not to. Things take forever in the water world, and infrastructure, to get infrastructure in. We've got projects set up, Josh has done a great job, we've just done a master plan. We would have been here earlier, it would have been with the bond issues that we kind of discussed during working session. So,
I know Clint has worked on those for 3 years, I know that I've discussed it with him
So-
back I mean,
And water projects
things
take
move like molasses.
20 years to do.
You lawyers move like molasses.
So we're continuing to work and move forward with those projects. And hopefully, we can find your support with doing that. But if not, we like it or not, those projects are done. They got to. And so it's a matter of us trying to put the Water Association in the best possible spot, get the best money.
Well, I think the council's in agreement. I'm not telling y'all, but I appreciate y'all. We all own a vote.
Sure.
And, we all own that vote in September. And, I think we need to continue. I urge you to reach.
August, right?
No, September. Well, you could learn. September.
Could be October.
I think we give it till in August.
I think we ought to make a decision in August.
What I'm gonna highly recommend, we know I'm a decision, and I think y'all all agree, like I said, I have to be careful in my job to try to advise y'all and help. I'm not up here, we all have a decision, everybody agrees on that. And then we can, I think everybody's got their concerns out there. I think both of the lawyers know kind of what the concerns are, the water board knows what the concerns are. I recommend that you reach out and visit your concerns. That's how you get things done.
Let me say, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not interested in kicking this can down the road for 6 months.
I agree.
I think if the rest of the council, I think, as far as I'm concerned, those few, things that I brought up, one or one and a half things, and a couple things that Councilman Craig, I don't think anyone else had any issues. But even, that's two people out of 6 up here, so, I don't think, I do understand it could certainly be a situation where we keep, and that's ridiculous. But, I don't think it's that complicated.
Do what now, Steve?
I was saying, I think if the concerns are met, why not waive the second and third reading next month and vote on it? And
We could.
I mean, I'm all for that.
I've read the ordinance, I read this, I've reread it, and this is presented, I could vote for its approval as presented tonight. I don't have a problem, I think we're making too big an issue out of a municipal appointment. We need to stick with appointing people that are qualified and are heard from, just like we're talking about it. If there's a complaint, come straight to the water board, come to that meeting right here in Vilonia, Arkansas, and make your complaint if you have a complaint. This is just stuff that we're throwing around here. It's not, it's really not a big difference that we're making. We're just causing more problems. The asset list, when they accept everything in Vilonia water, they're responsible for it.
What is that?
I think the
It's
project.
the system, it's the current system.
I can halfway agree on the
belongs to Vilonia water.
I can halfway agree on the board.
The projects take a long time to get processed. I think you guys have to keep moving like you plan to do. I would like to see the asset list just simply from a clarification purpose, and I'm not asking for you to list every fire hydrant. But the real estate, the automobiles, that kind of stuff, I would like to see that. If you guys can do that, I don't know that we can force your hand on who's on the board. Or, what their address is, and I think we all agree, it's not necessarily their address, it's their qualification, with the mayor having some input. So, I feel like if you guys can get the asset list together, put in the ordinance how you want to handle that board position, we should just waive the other reading and give you guys an answer next month. But don't let that hold y'all up, because that process is already holding you up.
Now, once again, when you do bring that next month, if it's like, if it is not, if how it reads is not in agreement, I mean, you may or may not get a vote on something.
But we're telling them we want an asset list, so if they do it, we
What
can
they
come out and
write
say
next
no.
month, then we're gonna say, well, let's table this thing down to September. Well, let's do that until October.
I think,
First,
I think
quickly,
Mike had the best thing, hey, I think Mike had the best idea. We owe him a vote up or down.
I agree, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
I think, you know, that's the whole deal. Maybe if they come next month
Joe's right.
and we don't like what they say,
Vote it down.
then vote it down then. I don't, or let it go till September and vote it down, or however this council wants to do.
But
But,
honestly, I don't know, even if we vote it down, that it stops them
yes,
from
it does.
proceeding.
That's what we were told.
It's by state statute.
Yeah, and, you know, because also they're gonna lose the bond, the favorable bond interest that's.
I don't feel like anybody on this council wants to vote you down to be a PWI. I don't think anybody wants you for that purpose at all.
Can we vote tonight?
You
You just want us to
Can't vote
be
tonight
different.
because I don't have an answer.
You just want us to be different than all the other PWAs. There's no other PWA that I'm aware of that has a mayor-appointed board member.
Yeah, I'm a little soft on the mayor appointed thing. I kind of 50-50 on that. I'll give that to you.
I mean, I don't mind
Maybe
mayor-appointed,
they'll-
me, so we go with it. But that's the difference with every other organization.
Hey, let's get back on point
All
here.
assets.
Hey, let's get back on point so they can know we'll be here all
What are
night
those
tonight.
assets?
Yeah, well, if this would allay your fears, I'm just trying to reach a compromise here for everybody.
And you want the list to be different than the one that's in the 91 ordinance. But there is a itemized
I think
list.
he's just wanting to list, that you've got 10 vehicles, 1 track hoe, and this is
You
the
own all the
building.
water lines?
That's enumerated in the 91 ordinance. All
No,
of those
I wouldn't
assets
even
are
worry
in
about the
there.
water lines, he needs a deal, this is what
What
Vilonia
does the
Water.
audit show? Don't you have your audit, have a list or a value to your asset?
It's more like jobs, so Highway 107 job, that's the asset. It doesn't say a 12-inch water line, 670.
I think you forget the water lines,
Yeah, we
I
don't
think
need a
to
list.
get what they need is, what
So
they
you
need
just
is,
want-
we own this office building.
You want the building and our vehicles, because that's all that's in the city limit other than water lines and fire hydrant mirrors.
I
think we want
I think I'd like to
physical
have it
assets.
listed that you own all the water lines and fire hydrants.
And that's enumerated and conveyed in the 91 ordinance. You want them to say the exact same thing?
I mean, we could appeal the 91 ordinance right now if we
It
want.
does
Even
appeal
if they
to
list
them.
that though, next year, that number's gonna be different, so.
Once again, an
that
asset,
works.
you're
You know,
not
you
gonna be
can-
able, I'm not getting in the
We
We
middle
want to
of
know at the time of transfer, who owns what.
that. That's pretty simple, Vilonia Water Works Association owns all the public water utilities and fire hydrants.
There you
That would
go.
con-
I
that
think
would
that's,
convey-
I could go with that, right there.
Okay.
I
Hey,
could
did
go
you
with
hear
that,
that?
Mr. Mayor.
That's how you think it works.
I could go with that. Now, I don't, can't speak for everybody else down here. Yeah, that they own all
I
of
don't
the
see
public
that,
water works.
how that's different from all assets.
I feel like they already.
Well, true.
No, he specifically said fire hydrants.
We're talking semantics here.
Hey, hang on, let's keep this discussion. so we-
All law is
Hey,
semantics.
We're trying to have a good discussion, hang on here, so if that'll help, you got the deal that water lines and fire hydrants will convey,
There you go.
and then we have an asset list, it just has the buildings and the trucks.
I think that's
Okay, that problem solved. So what's the next one we had? The appointment of, by the mayor, correct? That was-
I don't necessarily think it has to be appointed by the mayor, I would like to see a recommendation from the mayor.
Recommendation and it's a match, just everything be the same.
Mr. Lawyer, Mr. Clement?
Yeah, I mean, not my decision, but yes, I will visit with them to get something that's palatable, hopefully.
I think the way the mayor worded that, I think that'd be fine. It don't have to be complicated.
All water lines and fire hydrants will convey, and then you have a simple asset list of the trucks and the building.
Yes.
All right? Hey, so, simple asset list, the trucks and the buildings, and then also it'll say that the water lines and fire hydrants convey.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
fine.
and then the second issue on the appointment by the mayor is Brady, you've had the recommendation that the mayor could recommend the position. I don't know where that'll go, I'm just trying to get it out there.
So let me ask a question, since our legal team is here. If we make them or request them to let a Vilonia mayor do a recommendation, does the other towns also have to be given that same courtesy?
Legally, you need that.
Legally, you have.
I thought we said in the work session didn't have to, it's kind of whatever.
If they challenge it, if you get,
But it's not the,
So let me,
Mayflower Waterworks.
just a general address or response to that is, they are before you because you did the ordinance to form the PFD. This is a conversion. What you're doing is setting some conditions, whether they think it's proper or not, for them to decide, but you're the one setting the conditions for you to accept the conversion. Nobody else has to do that. We're not going to other municipalities to ask for that. Does that make it unfair to them? Yeah, I mean, just from a common sense standpoint, but is it required? No. Can they make the same request? They can, but I mean, it'd be up to the board to decide. They, of course, not gonna give up all their
It's also-
positions for every different city that's within their service area. Right.
alright, so we have got the consensus on the asset list and the conveyance of the water lines, correct? That'll have to be addressed. We're clear on that. We're still a little foggy on the board. Kind of a general consensus is put in there a recommendation that the mayor could recommend, be consulted with on the appointment. I'm just trying to.
I do like that thought that the mayor can recommend, but I do think that's unfair to the other communities. So
It's not.
I think I'm gonna backtrack, and I'm gonna say the water board, let them run their own board, and we stay out of the business.
I feel like they know the
agree.
qualifications of the people
I
a
think
lot
I'm
better
gonna
than
have to.
we
We
do.
do, yeah. That's what I'm saying.
I could go both ways on it, because I do understand the local control kind of situation. But we really are losing the control altogether.
I think in the beginning, I wanted us to be able to appoint that person simply because it gave us a voice. But I think in all of this, we're gonna have to just trust you guys to continue to take care of us like you have in the past.
And I'll say this, and he probably knows it, and Clint knows it well, because Clint brought it up just before, Preston mentioned it. We see the regionalization, we have to, it's not like we're gonna be able to go out there and put in, we're not looking to go spend $150 million, right? We're having to collaborate and work with other groups. Why is that? Because we want to try to keep our system, to serve the constituents that we have. And, sometimes we lose a little bit. We have to go partner with folks that we may not necessarily have been as familiar with in the past. Are we asking part of that board position, that municipal position, to understand we are going to be listening to whoever the mayor of Vilonia is? Yes. That was the premise.
You kind of have to in some degree.
We are, got to.
Well, years past, they've always listened to state reps, they've listened to state senators.
But we also have to partner with our other communities.
Yes.
That are there as well. And that's the whole premise of it. This is a collaboration of this whole system, all the water ratepayers, everybody else. So.
Any further concerns?
Like I said, my biggest on that is the fact of the future decision makers. They're trying to trust that, and like I said, they're just let go of the trust that our citizens aren't gonna get hurt.
You could get into the same thing.
No
There's more
guarantee.
changes.
There's no guarantee that
There's no
it won't,
guarantee.
but there's really, I mean,
You just have to pray.
we have no control, we really have no control over, if we vote yes, that's it, they are separate from the city altogether, lock, stock, and barrel. And we have no dealings at all as far as, I'm talking from a legal standpoint.
So, as a,
Like we do at this point, they're separate, they will be separate from.
so as a whole then, are we saying that we're okay with cutting that whole section out that they wrote up on the directors and officers then and sent to us?
I mean,
And leave it the way it is?
I think we have to
mean,
trust them
they
as
wanna
well,
pass
just like
that,
the
they can
citizens have
pass
to trust
whatever
us.
they want at their board.
But I can go with that. That's the
Is
rule
it
of
gonna
law.
be a deal breaker for me at this point? I'm not quite sure it's gonna make a difference whether we have one person on that board or not. If the mayor appoints one person on that board, it's not gonna make a difference. if the water company, if the rest of the board members go a different direction. In other words, we're out. If we vote yes on this, as I understand that ordinance, we are out. That might not be a bad thing.
That's pretty.
That just might not be a bad thing.
Think about it, you're right, it might not be a bad thing.
You know, and I agree with Stephen, because I've seen some
I
recent
too,
things where
yes,
we're
that's what
just,
scares me, is the other things we see in other cities and around the state on things of good intentions going bad, you know what I mean? And that's, I don't want that to happen with our, because we do have a great water system and water department. I mean, do not get me wrong on
But
that.
I don't know that we have any guarantee of that regardless.
I know.
There's no guarantee in politics in life.
Less politics ain't the better problem.
So then, back to my original question before we finish up. Are we good with telling, like, the bylaws they have wrote out and gave to us, everybody's good with those?
I don't think there's anything for us to vote on as far as their bylaws.
So the only thing that we need to add to the ordinance would be under section 3, and add the amendment of an asset list, correct?
And as simple as the mayor described it tonight, it's one paragraph there. We don't have to be complicated.
An asset list would be the trucks and the building.
Yeah. It doesn't have, you know, I don't care how many CDs you got and all the way down to the last 50 cents in each account. You know, I don't care about all that. For that matter, your ratepayers could be considered an asset. I don't know.
So,
But I don't care about all that. Your accounts receivables, your accounts payables.
Alright, do we have anything, Stephen, you got anything else to add? I'm just trying to help y'all make sausage.
no, if that's the way the body will, I'm good with it, if we all come to agreement here.
Alright,
I
so,
think if they get to the next one, we'll be on that.
okay, so is everybody from the water board and the legal standpoint, both of our lawyers, we're clear on that? The council's clear? Alright, well, I tell you, I want to appreciate everybody. This is how it works. You know, it's 2 hours, but, how you make sausage. And that's an old saying I had back from science class. Y'all, y'all had some healthy discussion, and I applaud you for that. So, if nothing else, we'll stand adjourned. We'll take this back up at the next meeting. Everybody good with that? If you got any sidebars, feel free to grab them before they go.